Hi everybody, I want to record a special video today on the topic of the 1% rule. What does the 1% rule mean? When people refer to properties that meet the 1% rule, they're talking about rental properties that can get a rental income of 1% of the purchase price. So if we're talking a $100,000 rental property, this property would get $1,000 a month in rent or more. If it gets $1,000, it meets the 1% rule. This rule actually came out of the 2% rule, kind of during the crash, really, when the 2% rule was really obtainable, that the rental income was 2% of the purchase price. Those were the days. We're not in those days. So now everyone's kind of lowered their standards to the 1% rule. However, I'm here to tell you, in 2021, with the housing market gone crazy, the 1% rule is also hard to get. Now, despite how hard it is to get, I have people reaching out to me every day saying they want a property, turnkeys, because that's mostly what I work with, that meet the 1% rule. And if I tell them I don't have one, they immediately are like, meh, I'll keep looking. Okay, so here's what I want to address in this video. I want to give you a reason that maybe you should not be so focused on the 1% rule. And I'm going to give you a specific example to support this. Here's the reason. The 1% rule is really a guideline. It doesn't actually tell you what the cash flow on a property is going to be. People are under the assumption that if it meets the 1% rule, it's going to be good for cash flow. Okay, cool. Of course, if you're actually going to buy a property, you should run the actual numbers and not just go off the guideline. But even when you're shopping, it's handier for shopping, but you don't necessarily just want to go off of that. Here's why. Different states, different properties, different everything are going to have different expenses. And if the expenses vary too drastically, that's going to affect your cash flow number. Here's the example I'm going to give you to support where I'm going with this. I have a sheet of paper here with two properties on it. One is in Birmingham and one is in St. Louis. Both are turnkeys because that's mostly what I work with. And here are the numbers. Birmingham. The purchase price is $135,000. The rent on it is $1,200 a month. Does not meet the 1% rule. In that case, it'd be $1,350 to meet the 1% rule. This does not meet the 1% rule. $135 purchase price, $1,200 in rent. St. Louis property, $150,000, and it rents for $1,550. That definitely meets the 1% rule. And in fact, it's a little bit higher than the 1% rule. So, by the way, these are two actual properties that have been available and or are for sale right now. One was for sale this summer, one's for sale right now. Anyways, so looking at both of these, we know that the Birmingham property does not meet the 1% rule. The St. Louis one does. Let's look at the expenses. I'm just going to go off an all cash purchase. I'm not going to think about mortgages right now. That's a different story. We're going to try and keep it simple. The taxes and insurance and property management fee of the Birmingham property come out to be $195, which means on an all cash purchase, on that $1,200 in rent, the income would be $1,005. It's pretty nice, huh? The St. Louis property that does surpass the 1% rule, with the expenses, taxes, insurance, and property management, the cash flow left over after those comes to $1,006. We're basically talking the exact same cash flow. Okay, whoa. What are we looking at here? Well, first of all, those translate as far as cap rates go, which would be also your cash on cash on an all cash purchase. The Birmingham property that did not meet the 1% rule comes to an 8.9% cap rate. Also not factoring in estimates for vacancy and repairs. Again, trying to keep it simple. The cap rate on the St. Louis property comes to 8%. So, the cash flows are identical. Birmingham is cheaper and does not meet the 1% rule. St. Louis is more expensive and surpasses the 1% rule. Exact same cash flows, which translates to a difference of an 8.9% cap rate for the Birmingham property and an 8% cap rate for the St. Louis property. Do you see why I'm saying don't focus so much on the 1% rule? In the case of Alabama properties, taxes and insurance in Alabama are so notoriously cheap that your expenses are significantly lower than they would be somewhere like St. Louis or possible other markets with 1% rule. Because those expenses are so much cheaper, you're getting a significantly higher return on the non-1% rule property. I'll wait until say I told you so later. This is why it's critical to not focus on the rule. Yeah, you can use it for some guidance, but investigate a little bit further. Biggest consequence, if you hone in so much on that rule and you're dead set on it, you might miss out on as good of properties, if not higher return properties. I have it on the sheet of paper right here. And to throw a little bit more juice into this, that Birmingham property that cash flow is significantly better and it wasn't the 1% rule is also in an A+ neighborhood. Not kidding. It's actually about to be for sale. The St. Louis property is in a B neighborhood. So for a significantly better neighborhood, for less money, non 1% rule, you're making higher returns and in a better area. Rethink the 1% rule. Just my personal opinion.